Yo, 2011 Acura MDX. Kind of hard to see, but this thing's got quite a bit of play in this intermediate shaft. I had the victim mail order this hoe, 3516, from these guys because it was less than half the price of a parts store. And that's what it looks like. First thing I'm going to do is get this passenger side CV axle out of here. 22 millimeter on the tire. 36 millimeter axle nut. It's a little flat on this nut. Might come off a little easier if you pound that out. Give it some light taps. Make sure that wants to move. Now there's two ways to do this. Either you can take these two bolts off of the strut, this one and this one, or you can take off the lower ball joint. Sometimes it'll throw off the alignment just a little bit if you take these top bolts out, so I don't really want to mess with those. If you do take them out, you got to put them in the same exact way. I got a little wire pin here I got to take out. I can just push in on it a little bit so I can get behind it, and I can pull it out. So it kind of looks like that. I think this is a 19 millimeter here. And I'm going to want to hit right here with a hammer a couple gazillion times until this ball joint loosens up. I don't want to put a pickle fork in here because I'll rip this boot and then it won't hold grease anymore. And I got that loose. I don't know how much plays in this arm. I'll keep an eye on that, but I got this fancy tool here. I'll just stick that in there. I can put a pry bar in this hole. Pull it out of my way. You can probably use like a ratcheting strap and a pry bar or something. I don't know, be creative. Now I just gotta push this axle through. Might be a good idea to unbolt this 12 millimeter on this brake line too, so you're not tugging on it. Now I can probably get a pry bar in here somewhere and try to pop this axle out. But I got to take this Y pipe off, and it's going to be much easier for me to do all this work after this exhaust is already off. I have a plastic cover here I'm going to want to take off. It's got these plastic clips on it. You got to try to pop the center out with a screwdriver, and then they come out. And I have some 10 millimeters for the rest of it. Wow. I don't know, there's something that ain't supposed to be there. It's all rounded off. I don't know what's going on there. I gotta... Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave that one on. There's 4 14 millimeters on this support brace. On this front pipe, I have 3 14 millimeter nuts. I might have to torch these. Sometimes they don't want to come out. I'm gonna try to get them out with an impact first, though. Nice. I have 3 more on the rear here. I have a 14 millimeter swivel socket. I'm going to try to bust this off of here. A little extension on a swivel maybe. The only thing holding it up now is this exhaust hanger. Take that off, and this thing's supposed to come out. It's stuck. I'm going to give it a little careful pry. There it goes. Now I got all kinds of room to play around here. See how loose that is? That ain't no good. I'm going to try to get my pry bar in here and give that a yank. Oh yeah, there's a bolt up there I can get behind. And there goes the axle. I have a heat shield cover plate on here with 12 millimeters. I might be able to get a socket over the top of this. I got one more right here. This cover plate should slide out now. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm gonna go with maybe not. Okay, we're gonna leave that in there. Well, I'll be able to get at these bolts now. There's 3 14 millimeters for this. I'm gonna try to squirrel in a 14 millimeter swivel socket on that. Looks like this bottom bolt here is shouldered and the top one is not. So you don't want to mix those up. Looks like this last one on the bottom I'm going to need to wrench out. Try to get this cover out of my way as best as I can. Looks like this one's shouldered too. Should just pull straight out. I don't think I'm going to get any fluid leaking on the ground. I'm going to take it out with this cover. Put it back in the same way, kind of. Took the seal out of this thing, and this is what I got. The bearing still looks good, but the housing is completely tore up. I suppose you can decide whether or not to put that seal in there. I just might do it. That one don't look so hot. I went to the zone and I found a seal. That's the number I came up with. I think it's right. Goes on there real nice. Now I should be able to get behind this nice and carefully with a pry bar and just pop it out. I got the new one here. And I got a little pipe that's the right diameter for the outside of it. Shouldn't have to hit it too hard. These things pound in real easy. That looks really good. I'm just going to jam this right back in the hole. There's no clip or anything on that spline, so it should just slide right in. I'm going to get these 3 14 millimeter bolts started. If you can get a torque wrench in here, I would tighten these to 33 foot-pounds. We can put this heat shield back on now. 3 bolts for that. I'm going to torque these to 18 foot-pounds. That feels just right. This axle's kind of got some shiny, flaky grease on it. I'm going to wipe all that off. Put this back in the hole. There it goes. Kind of hammer it in like that. Now I can line this axle back up. It's kind of hard coming out, so I'm going to put a little deep creep on here. Try to line this spline up. There it goes. Line that ball joint back up. There's no way to get a torque wrench on this, so you just get them good and tight. I would guess about 60 or 62 foot-pounds, somewhere around there. Put my little safety pin back in. This 36 millimeter axle nut gets tightened to 242 foot-pounds. I didn't use a torque wrench on the thing, but I just gave my impact all it had, and I can see where this was. And I just put it back in the same spot where this notch is. I can just hammer that back down there like so. Call it good. Now for all you amateurs out there, you might want to get some new exhaust donuts for this. Get new ones and you'll be assured that it won't leak. But I'm too cheap for that. I use this stuff. Muffler cement. And just slather a good amount on. Don't need too much. Just enough to fill in the gaps, basically. This stuff works great. A lot of times it seals better than just using a new exhaust donut. I got all these snuck down, I can final torque them to 40 foot-pounds. I can put this hanger back on. Got a little hook tool for that. Time for the support panel. I think 40 foot-pounds will be just swell for these two. These little 10mm jobbies all tightened up. Almost nothing. I'm surprised a good snowstorm didn't rip this thing off yet. And all I got left is that wheel. You torque that down to 94 foot-pounds and call it a job. Okay, bye.